Hello, all. My name is Victoria Mariupolskaya. This video is for the English-speaking audience. You know me as a political leader, a new political leader in Russia. I conduct my own foreign policy, and this video is meant to apply to Kay Shale from the United States of America. And at the same time, since she's a typical American, to be honest, to set the course for the future Russia-US relationship. Kay sent me the following message last night. My plan will make any country free and prosperous. Your plan is the same type of stuff you continue to have. I know a lot more about the history of Russia than you might realize. The best thing you could do for Russia is to forget the past and move forward with something better. My plan, for instance. Stop trying to tell me that Ukraine was not a free country prior to 1938. Read a history book. End of quote. This morning, she added the following in the public space. It's to detriment of Russia and many other places in the world that you never realized what made the United States the great in the beginning. It was the Constitution of the United States and a free market economy. This philosophy will work even in Russia. End of quote. So here's my reply. And here's my foreign policy for the future Russian-US relationship concerning the white affairs. I want to point that out, that there are two completely different Americas in the United States. The Black America and the white America. I'm not talking about Hispanic or Asians or the leftovers of poor indigenous American Indians or any other representative of any other race or culture or nation of the world. I'm talking about the majority that voices its opinion, the majority that forms the country and is responsible for its future. So in this video, I'm only considering white affairs. I will consider black affairs in a different video that's coming up. So here's my reply to Kay. Well, first of all, thank you for caring and taking your time to plan a prosperous future for my country from the other side of the planet. Secondly, I wasn't asking for your help to plan my future in my country where I live and came from. And therefore, I find it rude and intrusive of you to suggest your plan for my future is better than mine. Who are you to plan the future of my country. Thirdly, you'll expect me to pay a price of my gratitude, provided I accept your help, won't you? You'll expect me to say, "Oh, thank you, Kay. How will I ever pay you back?" True? Well, I don't feel like making a deal that will require me to pay for the help I'm offered. Fourthly, let me weigh my pros and cons of your offer. Starting with the pros. You say you imagined a prosperous future for me in your smart head. You name only one country where, from your point of view, your plan has worked before: the United States. You acknowledge the cost paid for the prosperity you have in mind, and you justify it instead of being ashamed of it. Your lack of empathy means that you are not a human being God intended you to be. You sold your soul to the devil, and therefore you must realize that by talking to me, you're talking to your spiritual enemy. I don't make deals with enemies. You either surrender or die. There are no other options. As my friend Edward Coleman from England pointed out today, the United States of America, a country built on the stolen from the native people's land after raping, pillaging, plundering, and deliberately exterminating them, torn apart by ignorance and greed for a few centuries, built on the back of slavery, 2 world wars, and never-ending conflicts, aggressively attacking innocent people around the world, wiping out culture and civilization, and considering the outskirts of NATO as the world of terrorists, is such a wonderful example for the rest of the world in its negative perspective. Are you seriously suggesting Russia can benefit from repeating such an experience? Do you seriously call it prosperous? How cold, how cruel, how ignorant, how violent do I need to be to even consider your offer of building prosperity at someone else's expense? Russians are no barbarians. Russians are no killers, and Russians are no burglars. Never have been and never will be. What really touched my nerve was your suggestion that I should forget the past. So, what is the price you want me to pay in order to try your brilliant idea and get something you imagined in your clever, heartless mind that will supposedly be better than I already have the experience of? Other than hurting other people by intrusion, killing the innocent, stealing the natural resources of others, and insulting their dignity and intelligence if they don't like the way I'm treating them, you suggest that I forget the Russian past. Let me explain. There is no Russian alive today that has been given the opportunity to be born that was not paid for by other Russians sacrificing their lives for it. And that is true for many generations of Russians for as long as 1,000 years. In other words, 40 generations of Russians sacrificed their lives in order to give future generations a chance to be born and inherit the lands and resources of Russia. Does your plan for my country take into account that NATO and CIA were created with the only purpose of exterminating Russians for the only reason the plan of exterminating Russians by the hands of Nazi Germany failed? When you ask me to forget the Russian past, you're actually asking me to do two things at the same time. First, you ask me to give up my rights as the owner of my land, natural resources, industry, technologies, knowledge, cultural traditions, values, and beliefs. And secondly, you ask me to become extremely ungrateful to at least 40 generations of Russians that sacrificed their lives to give me a chance to be born. Now, do you think the price you want me to pay for a chance to find out whether your imagined plan works or not, at my risk, my expense, and the expense of others who did no harm to me, is not that high compared to the rewards and possible outcome? By asking me to be a war criminal, an irresponsible owner of the richest natural and cultural resources in the world, and an ungrateful piece of shit, you're asking me to stop being who I am and to start living a lie. Now, if there is a prosperous life for pretentious, violent, and irresponsible traitors and hypocrites, which I have all the reasons to doubt, I just don't want it because it's not worth it. I am so rich materialistically and spiritually that your offer does not sound good to me. So I considered your offer, having the option of not even talking to you. And I say, no, thank you.